Apex has undergone a few changes in Season 22 that have shaken up the meta, so I thought it would be cool to take a look at the best and worst legends in a bit of a tier list for the brand new season. So let me know in the comments which legend you've been enjoying the most since the beginning of the brand new season. Starting things off in D tier, it's sad to say this, but I've got to put my boy Mirage down in this tier because he's not always been the strongest of legends for a competitive environment, and with the brand new BattleSense health bar update, it makes it much easier for all players to identify the real Mirage, and this doesn't really go in his favor. Next in D tier is going to be Octane, and while Octane is one of the most fun legends to play, his abilities just don't match up with that of his counterpart, and he's not a strong pick for your entire team. So he's not the best pick for a team comp, but he is one of the most fun legends, so if that's all you care about, play Octane as much as you want. I'm also going to have to put Ballistic in D tier. Again, his abilities really just don't match up with that of the other legends to be that useful for your team. Now, it is nice using the Akimbo weapons in his weapon sling, as it does make them automatically dual wield, and his slingshot perk does make those weapons even more powerful, but his tactical is just too easy to avoid, and it doesn't even apply that much pressure, so I think Ballistic is going to need a bit of a buff to become any higher than a D tier legend. And I'm also putting Ashe in D tier, and while I do think Ashe can still be C tier and is powerful in the right hands, I think her ultimate just doesn't really cut it anymore as a useful ability when you have other better abilities in the game. Her tactical definitely is better than it was before now that you can use it as an offhand weapon, but I do think most players find it pretty easy to avoid her tactical. And moving over, we have C tier, which stands for Caustic. Well, it doesn't, but Caustic is definitely going in C tier this season, because although he is a controller legend, and controller legends got a beautiful buff now that they can remotely pick up their tacticals, and they also receive 25 overshield while in the zone, which is really good for Caustic as he is also a fortified legend. Players just aren't finding him as useful, his pick rate is down a lot, and because of the BattleSense health bar update, it makes it much easier to track your enemies in the gas, which means you can't really hide within your own gas anymore, so it hinders Caustic more than it helps him. Wraith is also in C tier for similar reasons to Octane. Her abilities just don't really cut it compared to the other legends, they're not that useful, and as more and more legends come out, the ultimate doesn't feel like it hits the same. I'm also going to put Gibraltar in C tier, but I could also put him in B tier as he gets a few advantages this season. First of all, the shotgun buffs to the Mastiff and Peacekeeper are very useful for bubble fights, so if you are running a shotgun with Gibraltar, you will see an improvement. And of course, if you have the gun shield hop up on the LMGs, then it buffs his gun shield even more, giving it extra health, but those are pretty niche scenarios, and that's why I think he still makes it to C tier. Now, the only recon legend to be in C tier is going to have to be Seer, because recon legends are great this season as they've had some good improvements. They get threat vision while ADSing, which is a really good advantage, and the brand new survey beacons are much quicker to activate and give you a live update every 5 seconds of nearby enemies, which works better than the beacons did before. But despite all this, I still think because of all the nerfs that Seer received, he's still the weakest recon legend and only ends up in C tier. Not to mention the health bar update makes his tactical even more useless as everybody gets that kind of info now. Now moving on to B tier, I'm going to start with Catalyst. As she is a controller legend, she benefits from the overshield buff while standing in the zone, which is a really good buff to have in the early game, and on the brand new map, being able to fortify the doors on all of the buildings with a lot of verticality could definitely sway a fight. So I do think controller legends are really strong this season, and that's why Catalyst goes in B tier. I think Newcastle is also a B tier legend, a really good support with his reviving capabilities, and the reason I think he's a pretty good pick for this season is because of the brand new gold loot bins. These gold loot bins that spawn halfway through the game are much more likely to give you a gold knockdown shield, which is really strong in the hands of Newcastle. Being able to constantly pick up your teammates with more health and having a stronger revive shield will play in Newcastle's favor. And speaking of being able to loot, I think Loba is a high B tier legend, as loot on the new map is quite spread out, so being able to stock up really quickly with her ultimate is great, and she has slowly had buffs in the past, being a support legend, able to craft your teammates' banners, along with her useful tactical for escaping fights or getting to higher ground on the new map, which as I said has a lot of verticality, makes her a very versatile legend and a great pick for your entire team. I think Valkyrie also makes it into B tier. I don't think she's as strong as she used to be, obviously with the introduction of evac towers and the fact that they nerfed her ultimate a while ago, but if you play Valkyrie on the brand new district map, I think you'll see the positive sides of being able to use her jetpack and also her ultimate to rotate, as there are a lot of large buildings that also block you from rotating, so on district I think she benefits and that makes her B tier. I think Conduit is also a B tier legend. Of course we had the Conduit Revenant meta recently, but that was nerfed to the ground, but she's still a great pick for healing up your teammates. But as for Season 22, she didn't see any buffs, and as she was recently impacted by the nerfs, I think she's just a B tier legend. Now, the latest addition to Apex, Alta, also ends up as a B tier legend for me. I think she'd be higher if she was an assault legend, but since she's a skirmisher legend, she doesn't really benefit from many great perks, but her tactical is still super useful, especially on the new map where people still are trying to figure out the layout of the map. You'll definitely benefit from using Alta. Being able to pass through buildings and walls and doors on a map that people just don't really understand yet will easily confuse your enemies. Also, being able to use her tactical to go up some of the really tall buildings, and her ultimate did also receive some buffs, just making it faster to use and easier to use, because now you no longer have to look at the ultimate to activate it if you're not, so it's still a great ultimate to support your teammates. And finally, I'm putting Mad Maggie as a high B tier legend. She's definitely a great pick this season with the recent shotgun buffs, and her tactical has always been a great pick. I think her passive is a little bit less useful as everybody gets a lot of intel now with the Battle Sense health update, and I still think her ultimate is a little bit hit and miss. It often bounces off surfaces in unpredictable ways, which can sometimes help you but also inhibit you. Now, moving on to the A tier legends, I'm going to start with Rampart. Rampart is an amazing legend this season and could potentially be S tier because of the improvements that she had this season, and in the right hands, she is an amazing offensive legend. So, first of all, Rampart is a controller legend, so she benefits from the buffs such as the 25 overshield while fighting in the zone, and being able to remotely pick up her tactical, so you don't have to be right by it to pick it up. Not only that, Rampart actually received a direct buff to her ultimate, so now it works like Vantage's sniper, where once the ultimate is charged, it works based off of the ammo, and as long as you don't deplete the ammo to 0, it will refill the ammo over time, so you'll pretty much always have your ultimate active as long as you use the ammo sparingly. On top of that, Rampart will also benefit from the brand new LMG gun shield hop-up, as I'm sure if you're playing Rampart, you're probably going to be using an LMG, and the gun shield hop-up provides extra cover on top of the cover that your walls already provide. She's going to be a super strong legend, and I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of Rampart, and when people get good at using her, she is a pain to fight against. Next up, I never thought we'd see this, but your boy Crypto definitely makes it into A tier this season. First of all, he's a recon legend, so he provides really good intel to your teammates, especially through the survey beacons that you can activate with your drone to give you live info of nearby enemies. And of course, he gets threat vision while ADSing. On top of that, Crypto received more direct buffs. His drone handles much faster, and of course, he calls out nearby squads every time you throw out his drone. On top of that, he gets the brand new off the grid perk, which is incredible as it makes you invisible while using your drone, which is an added level of safety that Cryptos didn't get before. You can have a lot of fun with that perk, but it also just provides a sense of security. So Crypto is a great recon legend this season. I've also put Bloodhound as an A tier legend because, again, Bloodhound is a great recon legend. Not much has really changed. Of course, you could see the fact that other recon legends get the threat vision as a negative impact for Bloodhound, but Bloodhound's ultimate is still super strong. They also, of course, benefit from the recon buffs, and Bloodhound's scan still comes in handy, especially on the new map in all of the big buildings. Being able to completely cover the building with your tactical is great intel. I'm also putting Horizon as an A tier legend this season. It goes without saying, Horizon is still one of the best movement legends. You might find her tactical is even stronger as well, since Season 22 had the aim assist nerf, and on the new map there's a lot of elevation, so her tactical and passive make her just as strong as she was before. Revenant is still also an A tier legend. All around, he has the movement, he has the ultimate giving him 75 extra shields. Not much more really has to be said. Nothing really changed with Revenant. He's still super strong, and that's why he has a really high pick rate. Same goes for Pathfinder. Pathfinder is still an A tier legend since he has amazing movement capabilities, and his zipline allows for some really good rotates, especially on the brand new map. And not to mention, his level 2 perk gives him the ability to either scan the survey beacons or the ring consoles, so he's not even just any old skirmisher, he gets those abilities as well. Now, Vantage is also an A tier legend in Season 22, and Vantage mains are gonna love this because first of all, she's a recon legend, so she got all of the recon buffs, but also Vantage got some direct buffs. When using her sniper, her second shot now does 2.5 times damage instead of 2 times. So now you can 2-shot anyone no matter what armor they have, as long as of course you get a headshot, but that increased damage is gonna be brutal. You can now also use Echo without line of sight, which is really great in the midst of the action, and her her passive got a buff, so now it works on all sights, including iron sights. So even early game, when you don't have any scopes, the passive will still be active. I think people are going to have a lot of fun with Vantage, and I think you'll start seeing how powerful that sniper is, and I'd be happy picking Vantage over another recon legend like Bloodhound. A lot of people are loving Fuse this season, and that's why I've also put him as an A tier legend. I think people are realizing how great his knuckle clusters are, and how much pressure it puts on the enemies, but also he did get a bit of a buff. Now his level 2 perk stops the negative effects that his ultimate has on himself, so now you can pop your ultimate and fight within it without taking the damage or the slow. So Fuse is definitely a great assault legend. And finally, I'm going to put Lifeline in A tier, as she's a great support legend. I think her healing drone and her unique revive puts her ahead of the other support legends. And to mention the gold loot bins again, if you give Lifeline a gold knockdown shield, she's really powerful, as she has the automatic revive, which will revive your teammates with more health and shields. And if you come across these gold loot bins, you can pretty much get a gold knockdown shield every game. So as long as they don't nerf those, Lifeline's a great pick. So some of you may have noticed that leaves 2 legends for S tier. First of all, Bangalore I think is still an S tier legend. Some of you may disagree, as she didn't receive any buffs this season. In fact, she's been slowly nerfed, and this season players are highlighted in white when you're within her smoke in close range, so that could be seen as a negative for her smokes, but she's still one of the strongest legends. Her smokes allow her to change the flow of any fight, and her passive is still really strong. She also has a great ultimate, and like before, she's just a great all-round legend, and you almost feel invincible when you're playing her, and that hasn't changed even in Season 22. But what has changed is Wattson is an S tier legend in Season 22. In my opinion, Wattson has been absolutely blessed this season. I always thought Wattson was a great legend, I always had fun playing Wattson, and I knew how strong she was, but that just gets even better this season, as all they've done is buffed her. First of all, she's a controller legend. She gets the 25 overshield, and she can remotely pick up her fences. Now, being able to do this as Wattson is such a huge advantage. If you're playing Wattson and not constantly using her fences, then you're playing Wattson wrong. And now you don't even have to worry about going to them to pick them up. You can pick them up while moving to a new location, and it gives you the tactical charge back. So you've pretty much always got these fences on the go. Not only that, she also got the brand new level 3 perks, which make her ultimate much stronger. You can either make her ultimate pretty much last forever, as it recharges itself, or you can make it recharge your shields at double the rate. Overall, these are all just amazing buffs to Wattson, and make her an amazing legend for Season 22. So if you haven't already, try out Wattson, and I think you'll absolutely love it. And there you go, that wraps up this tier list. That is the best and worst legends in Season 22. Of course, this is based on my opinion, and if you have other ideas, just let me know in the comments. And like I said at the start of the video, let me know which legend you've been enjoying the most in Season 22.